I'm Terry.
And I'm Tammy.
And we're T&T, the Art of Living, exclusively on the Orale Network. Today we have with us Mercedes Bristol, and she is with Texas Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. And we'll be right with you after a word from our sponsors.
Dogwood Home Health Care LLC will give you peace of mind toward your loved one's home care needs. With many years of experience and a dedicated team, you can rest assured your loved ones are receiving the best possible care at home. Some of our services consist of bathing, exercising, dressing, grooming, cleaning, laundry, walking, shopping, assisted with medication, and much, much more. For more information regarding our services, go by our website at www.dogwoodhomehealth.com or call us directly at 956-580-3957 or 210-265-8911.
We're here with the one and only paralegal, Mr. Michael Moore from the law office of Braden Bennett that caters to Texas and California. Real quick, Mr. Moore, let's go and talk about your services. What kind of cases do y'all cater to?
We cater to auto accidents, 18-wheeler cases, personal injuries, slip and falls, and third-party workman's comp.
All you personal injury cases, call Mr. Michael Moore, paralegal for attorney Braden Bennett at 210-727-3824. That's attorney Braden Bennett and paralegal Mr. Michael Moore.
Hi, welcome back. Today we have Mercedes Bristol, and she is with Texas Grandparents Raising Grandchildren. So, welcome to our show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
I did a little bit of research before you got here, and then of course we had a little conversation while you were here. So much information. Just tell us a little bit, the basics, and then we'll dive deep.
Well, the basics are that there are over 266,000 grandchildren being raised by grandparents in the state of Texas. And there, for every one child in the foster care system, there's 24 children outside the foster care system that no one is actually financing or helping these grandparents with.
The numbers are up here. That's crazy. Terry and I are both ex-teachers or retired teachers, whatever. And I had students that were being raised by grandparents, and I honestly didn't know how to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing that we are wondering about is, so you got these kids, obviously because something happened and their parents couldn't raise them, and now you're basically responsible, but how responsible are you? Are you able to take care of them? Do you have any rights for them? How does this happen?
Well, CPS gets involved in many cases, and then they remove the children from their parents, either for neglect or abuse. And so the children are then now in CPS investigations. So they call the grandparent or the kinship caregiver, whether it's an aunt or an uncle, brother or sister, and then they ask them, can you take the children? Yeah, because if not, they're going to go into the foster care system. And so the grandparents or the family takes the children, and then 70% of the times the cases are closed. And so then these grandparents don't have any don't have any legal rights to the children. So that's where the conflict comes in. If the case goes into a legal case where the state does take conservatorship, then they either place them into a foster home, or they can place them with a relative, giving them different supports.
Okay, so I have a question. When you say that these cases go into closure, right? Does that mean because they've been, as you say, adopted, because they've been fostered, or because they've simply decided to give them back to the parents, or all three?
No. Actually, when they close the case, two of those. Either when they're placed with a family member and they're safe, they'll close the case because they have no longer the authority to take any actions with those children.
Okay. CPS then?
CPS.
Okay.
So they place them in a safe place. Grandparents take the responsibility, and that's it. They close the case.
Okay.
Awesome. So when you started this, I know you started it for personal reasons. We talked about that. And after looking at the website and everything, your resources are amazing. I actually enjoyed reading the article at Good Housekeeping. That was really good. Go to the website, check it out. It's
www.txgrg.com.
And it's crazy how these kids come to you, but you having the resources to help them with food, clothing. I know you work closely with CPS and the state. So talk to us about that. How did you get them to help you? I mean, it was all trial and error?
Yes. And so what happened is we started a campaign of making awareness.
Okay.
You know, just making awareness of the lack of resources that these families have. And
Because, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think because in our previous conversation you had mentioned that as a grandparent or as an aunt who didn't have the resources before, you're actually raising them on what you were living on as a grandparent.
Ready
like your
to retire.
retirement or
Mhm.
whatever, correct?
correct.
Okay, so these resources were important. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we did a resource fair, and out of that resource fair, 100 grandparents showed up, and so we did a survey, and so we surveyed what was their biggest needs, and that's
Okay.
how we came up with what their needs were. So first was legal,
Right.
second was food and security, and then third was clothing, and then so utilities. So some of these grandparents are on their Social Security, and now they're raising between 2 and 5 and 7 children.
Yeah.
And that's hard enough even if you have two parents who have a good paying job and now you're a grandparent on Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of rough.
So as an organization, you're able to provide all of these things. Where do you get the
Assistance?
money?
Well, we don't provide the
Just the
util-
resources.
We just
Okay.
we connect them with the community. And
Okay.
this is where the community comes in, and making the awareness was so important because there's great agencies out there
Yes.
already providing the food bank,
Yes.
San Antonio area foundation has things that they can help. SA Threads is a great a connection that we have that we can make referrals to them.
SA Threads for clothing?
For clothing.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I've
Right.
never heard of that.
Yeah.
Well, SA Threads is a partnership that we have with the Kathy Hamilton, and she
Okay.
actually gives our families two times a year where they can go get shoes, 2 pair of pants, shirts, toiletries, everything.
That's so great.
And so what happens is she catered to the foster community.
Mhm.
So because we deal with the informal foster care, she opened it up for us to do referrals
Yeah.
also. So she works with some of the schools. And so we have a lot of other partners that we partner up with.
That's
Okay.
great. Okay, well, we need to take a break. Let's get a word from our sponsors. And thanks, Mercedes. We'll see you in a minute.
Thank you.
Dogwood Home Health Care LLC, we give you peace of mind toward your loved one's home care needs. With many years of experience and a dedicated team, you can rest assured your loved ones is receiving the best possible care at home. Some of our services consist of bathing, exercising, dressing, grooming, cleaning, laundry, walking, shopping, assisted with medication, and much, much more. For more information regarding our services, go by our website at www.dogwoodhomehealth.com or call us directly at 956-580-3957 or 210-265-8911.
In this video, we simplify the process of filing a Texas workers' comp accident claim, ensuring access to essential benefits. Step 1. Report the injury. Timely reporting to your employer within 30 days as required by Texas law is crucial. Include accident date, location, and injuries. Step 2. Seek medical care. Prioritize your health by promptly visiting an accident doctor specialist. You have the right to choose your doctor. Step 3. Fill out the claim form. Step 4. Complete the claim. Step 5. File a claim. Step 6. Report the injury. Step 7. File a claim. Step 8. File a claim. Step 9. File a claim. Step 10. File a claim. Step 11. File a claim. Step 12. File a claim. Step 13. File a claim. Step 14. File a claim. Step 15. File a claim. Step 16. File a claim. Step 17. File a claim. Step 18. File a claim. Step 19. File a claim. Step 20. File a claim. Step 21. File a claim. Step 22. File a claim. Step 23. File a claim. Step 24. File a claim. Step 25. File a claim. Step 26. File a claim. Step 27. File a claim. Step 28. File a claim. Step 29. File a claim. Step 30. File a claim. Step 31. Your employer or their workers' comp provider provides a DWC 41 form. Accurately detail your injury. For free help, contact Dr. B, the accident doctor. Step 4. Address pain and suffering. Texas Workers' Comp covers medical costs and part of lost wages. If employer negligence or third-party involvement caused your injury, consider a personal injury lawsuit for more compensation. Conclusion. With guidance and knowledge, securing benefits after work-related injury is achievable. Contact Dr. B, the accident doctor, for a free consultation at our locations.
Hi, welcome back to T&T, The Art of Living. Again, today we have Mercedes Bristol. I know, Terry, you wanted to talk about the fostering thing, but I really want to focus on the being able to advocate for the grandparents. Go ahead.
Okay, so as a grandparent and you've got these children that you've taken from your family, how do you get legal rights to them? How do you get to where you're able to take them to the doctor, get immunizations,
register them in
at
school?
school, things like that? How do you do that?
Well, if there's not a CPS case and they don't give you any form of documentation that you have some kind of custody over the children, then you will have to go to a legal person to get it, an attorney, to be able to get these forms, and they're very costly.
Okay, so in other words, you're saying, like, we have some family members because, Hispanic culture, right? If you have someone in the family that maybe had a baby at 15 or later on, the dad left, mom left, you end up with these kids, you just take them. And you're not legally responsible? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, you're legally responsible because you took them. You're just not legally able to make decisions for those children.
Ah.
And the decisions of putting the children in school or getting immunizations. So for that, you need to have either a power of attorney, which is they could be revoked at any time from the parent, or you can go get legal representation and have them sign over the rights or get a conservatorship over these children. And so that's really expensive.
And I know that's something y'all do as far as Texas grandparents raising grandchildren, is help them get to that area. So if there's not a CPS case, they can't become a foster. They'd have to go the other route and pay up to thousands of dollars.
So you have mentioned once there's a CPS case, you can get this foster care license, right?
Right.
Okay, and that helps because what does it allow?
Well, that's a financial. So when they foster, and it's called foster to adopt, when you're trying to see whether you're going to foster the child and you're going to keep them and adopt them. So there's the licensing procedure that happens, and sometimes it has to go through the legal system. And you can't do it on your own because the state won't fund it.
So if you go through CPS case, then it's funded by the state.
Yes, and those children get those foster parents actually get between $750 to $1,500 a month for each child.
Is it dependent on how many kids?
No, it's dependent on the disability of the child.
Okay. So with that, then $750 is not all that much, along with the Social Security or whatever the grandparent is trying to use to raise the children. So then comes this point of the advocacy that you're talking about, and to advocate for supplies, for medical help, for food, what kinds of things for themselves?
Well, the advocacy that I'm talking about is for them to advocate for legislation to change.
Okay.
So a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, right now we're working on this. I'm working with Generations United in Washington, D.C., which they give us a lot of statistics on what's going on with each state. So I'm the Grand Voice member for Texas. And so we have these quarterly meetings where we talk about what is going on in our state and how can they support us. And we look at policies.
Okay.
So TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy
Right.
Families, is a federal funding program
Mhm.
that only pays like $107 for one child.
It's not a
Oh,
lot,
that's
'cause
not
it
very
was
much.
still, yeah,
Yeah.
very
And
familiar.
so there's a $1,000 one-time TANF, but most of the time grandparents get denied because they wanted to count the grandparents' money and resources. So that, we work for our retirement,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we have a car that's paid off,
Right.
but now we have 5 grandchildren and we have no beds.
How can they use the grandparents' income if, at that point, do they have legal rights at that point? I mean, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that
They haven't adopted them, they're
No.
just caring for them.
And that is a stipulation. They can apply for the TANF
Okay.
program. And you do have to have like a power of attorney or something, or have somebody verify that you are raising them. So now you may qualify. However, you have to cross all these barriers, right?
Yeah.
So we're coming to legislation and saying, why can't we, now foster care gets $700 and some dollars.
Mhm.
Why can't TANF be comparable in other states?
Right.
Like Louisiana gets $250 for one child, but we
Oh,
get
wow.
107. And so those are the kind of things that we make awareness to the grandparent. We teach them, we're educating them, teaching them how to advocate, how to speak to the state legislators and be able to say, I'm a grandparent raising a grandchild and I don't get any support. How can you help us change
Yeah.
the law?
Right.
Okay.
So that's an important step, I would think, to advocate for the children, for themselves, so that they can actually raise these kids who've been essentially traumatized
Yeah.
by being removed from their family,
Yes.
taken to the grandparents' house, who may or may not have been in the picture before,
Right.
and who knows what kind of trauma they've already gone through. So these changes for advocacy as far as the legislature, does that include any support for mental issues?
That's another advocacy that we're working on. How do we get them the proper, there's not enough doctors here in San Antonio or in
Yes.
Texas
Yeah.
that'll handle these kind of traumas and stuff. So we're having a very difficult time getting them to be assessed and get them diagnosed, if anything, because a lot of these children are born with some kind of a drug addiction too,
Yeah.
and trauma.
That
So
makes
we need
sense.
to be able to get them the proper diagnosis, so grandparents know what they're dealing. A lot of times they have a lot of issues in school,
Yeah.
and they don't know why. So ADHD is a big one, right? Or ACEs, we talk about if they have a lot of adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
And that's where we really want to educate the grandparents of what's going on with that child too.
Okay, all right then.
I think.
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mercedes, thank you so much for being here. And as a Texas grandparent raising your grandchildren, we
Kudos.
just really
Kudos.
are so impressed. And hopefully this will help raise awareness and of the legislature that you need. And her information will be at the bottom of our screen. And if you have any way that you might be able to help, please go ahead and contact Mercedes and she'll be happy to help you
Thank you.
if she can.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank
So
you,
great
guys.
to meet you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so thank you and thank our
Thanks.
sponsors for letting us be able to be on this show.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you.